Hello YouTube family, welcome back to the channel. On today's video, we're going to give you guys the full 2023 garden tour. I'm Jerry.
And I'm Dawn.
And we're
living the Newcomb life.
Alright guys, so we've done 3 previous videos showing you guys how we're planning our 2023 garden. We planted the Dawn's raised beds, and we planted the flat garden, and we planted our 5-gallon buckets and our tubs. This is going to be a culmination of all of those with a full garden tour.
Right. This is the beginning of January. The beginning of June. It's the beginning of June. And our garden has started to take off. We did our first harvest this week, which was exciting. We got 2 cucumbers and a handful of green beans, which is fantastic.
Yeah, it's a good start.
And then a second day this week, we got 2 more cucumbers and another handful of green beans. And I said to Jerry, I had them in a quart jar, the green beans, in a quart jar in our refrigerator, waiting till we got enough this year
for a meal.
Yeah. And the quart jar is just about full. So looking forward to the green beans. But we're going to take you on a tour of everything we planted so far this year. Everything is still really young, but doing very well. So guys, in this bucket or tub, we have the asparagus growing in here. We've never grown asparagus before. This is a trial run for us, and we were so excited to see that we actually have 3 little asparagus. We have one here. I don't know if you can see that. We have one here that kind of bolted, and then we have another one right here that just sprung through the soil. We're not exactly sure how to grow asparagus, so if you have tips and tricks, let us know. This is our very first year, and I know we have to wait 3 years for an actual harvest, but if you all know what our next step is, let us know. Moving on, we have our 5-gallon self-watering 5-gallon grow buckets, and this is the grow table that holds our 5-gallon buckets that Jerry built. If you haven't seen that video, you'll have to check it out. It's a great video. We actually have 2 different ones. We also built one at my brother-in-law's house, so check out those 2 videos. Great videos. So we purchased this at a farmer's market. Supposed to be a jalapeno. Not sure it's a jalapeno. We're thinking it may be a banana pepper, but we're gonna hold out and see what happens. May end up being a jalapeno, but we're not sure. Then we have our sweet banana peppers and our bell peppers here in our 5-gallon buckets. And then moving on, they look great. Look at all the new growth here in the center. They're just looking great. Moving on to our grow tubs. These are going to be our carrots, and as you can see, they've all started to come up. If you saw the video where we planted these, we put boards on top in order to keep the seeds from washing away, or to keep the birds from taking the seeds. And within just a couple of days, we were able to remove the boards, and you can see the carrots are coming up. So that's very exciting. We love carrots. And then this is our beets, and you can see the beets are coming up really well. We'll wait a little bit longer, and then we'll thin out. There's a couple of spots where 2 plants came up, which is great, and we'll thin those out. And then this one is our turnips, which is doing very well. It doesn't look like we have too much to thin out or anything. Jerry did a great job of planting those. Okay guys, so now we're going to go into our flat garden, and if you have not seen our video on the flat garden, you have to check that out, because that has really changed our gardening life. It has eliminated the weeds. It eliminates walking through the mud and the dirt and everything. It's just amazing. It just makes this area so nice. Keeps the moisture in the ground. Makes the plants just love it and thrive. So I'm going to walk through here, and along our cattle panel here, we have our peas growing, and they are getting to the point where we're starting to weave them through the cattle panel. Can't wait to get a harvest. If you notice the white powder on the ground, that is diatomaceous earth, and we sprinkled that on our plants because we had some type of bug or something nibbling at our leaves on our peas. So we sprinkled it with diatomaceous earth with the hope that that would eliminate the bugs and they would go on to something else. So that is why you see the white powder sprinkled on the ground. Moving on to the garden itself, we have a row of beefsteak tomatoes right here. And on this plant right here, and one other in this row, there is a bloom on this plant that is huge. And we've never grown beefsteak before. I don't know if you can see this. It's like 3 or 4 flowers all combined together. It's the craziest thing we have ever seen, and we don't know why it did that, whether it's just a fluke thing, but we think it's also on one of the other plants, so maybe it's a trait with beefsteak tomatoes. I don't know. If you know, leave us a comment down below. Let us know if you've ever had that happen with your beefsteak tomatoes before. So this row right here on the ends, we have our cherry tomatoes, which Jerry is very excited about. He loves to just come down to the garden for a snack. And then in the center, we have our Jet Star tomatoes, which we have come to love. And then this last row right here is our Roma tomatoes. That's going to be our sauce tomato, with the hopes that we will be able to make some, spaghetti sauce, pizza sauce, that kind of stuff this year. So we're really excited about that. And then over here, we have our grow buckets. Our grow bags, I'm sorry. And we actually pulled some suckers and planted them, and then most of these are what I call Jerry's trash tomatoes. So we have a compost pile that we add our kitchen scraps to, and in there we must have thrown like some tomatoes and things like that in there, and every year somehow we get tomatoes growing in our compost pile. And most of these we pulled out of the compost pile and we planted in these grow bags with the thought that we'll get what we get. We had, you can see them, they're doing very well. So we don't know what kind of tomatoes they are, and it'll be kind of a surprise when they start producing fruit as to what they are. We do have one pepper that was an extra, and then the other day Jerry was cleaning out the grow bags right here, and he looks at me and says, "Did we plant a bagel plant?" And I said, "What are you talking about?" There was a mini bagel in one of these grow bags, and the weird thing is we don't eat bagels because we're doing low carb. So a squirrel must have found that mini bagel in somebody's trash and was running along the top of our fence, where our dogs tend to chase them when they run across the fence. And I think he dropped his bagel and just kept on going. So on our last grow bag the other day, Jerry was cleaning out stuff, and because we have the hostas planted in between, sometimes things sneak in there. And in this grow bag right here, our squirrels must have gotten into pumpkin seeds, and they dropped them in this grow bag. We think this is probably a pumpkin because there are pumpkin seeds on that side of the grow bag, but we're just gonna let this volunteer go and see what happens. So crazy. And then if you guys will follow me, up here on the side of our yard is where we put our compost. This is where we put our kitchen scraps and some of our lawn clippings and things like that. And as you can see, we have a great crop of tomato plants, volunteers, in our compost pile. But we also have this plant back here that has totally taken off. I don't know if y'all can see it, but it is, look at all this new growth right here. We suspect, oh, there is something down here. There is a, and it is, I thought it was a pumpkin. I don't think that's a pumpkin. Is that a watermelon? I don't know what it is. We don't know what this plant is, but it has come from most likely kitchen scraps. There is a something growing. I don't know what that is, but I guess we'll see. Okay, so here we are in my raised beds. These are the cedar raised beds that Jerry and I built last year. If you didn't see that video, you can check that out on our channel. And we also put up these cattle panels and made a tunnel because we're growing our vining plants on here. We did do a video this year about planting this. So we have we actually have 4 different varieties of cucumbers here now. We started out with 3 that we planted and grew or started from seeds. We planted them, and then the next day something came along and ate 2 of them. So we went to the big box store and we bought 2 additional plants. So that made another variety of cucumbers in here. So what we have is slicers, and then pickling cucumbers, and then on the very end we have some gherkins, which are really small little cucumbers. And the ones that we have harvested this year so far, we've harvested twice. We've gotten 4 cucumbers. All of them, I believe, have been the gherkin type cucumbers, real small. But they are doing fantastic. They're starting to weave themselves up over the cattle panel. We planted about the 20th of May. Now, we planted, no, it was a little bit later than that. I think it was the end of May. We planted these in the ground. And they were tiny little plants. This is June 11th today, I believe. And this is where we've come so far. So they're doing amazing. And then on this side, we have our green beans. And they're doing fantastic. If you've never grown pole beans before, they are the coolest thing. So if you can see right here, see how they're wrapped around the cattle panel? We don't do this. They do it themselves. It is the coolest thing. And these little guys, these little things, are a little sticky. They're not sticky like sap or anything. They're just a little sticky. It's really cool. And so much growth. We planted these the same day we planted these, and look, we've got beans all the way up here, which is amazing. And like I said, we've already harvested enough probably for Jerry and I to have a meal, which is amazing. So, and we're hoping to be able to can green beans this year. But the key is to keep harvesting what grows so that the plants know to set more fruit. We also, in the raised beds, over here, you can see, so the beans pretty much stay on the cattle panel. The cucumbers tend to wander out into the bed, so we didn't plant a whole lot extra. We did plant something over there, I'll show you, but we don't plant a lot of other stuff in that raised bed because of that. But this raised bed, you can see all along the edge, I planted onions, and these are all different varieties. They're yellow onions, white onions, and purple or red onions. So 2 rows on each end, and then 1 row across the front. And then we have our zucchini and squash. And check this out, guys. I'm so excited. check this out. Can you see the little squash right there? It's so tiny. So exciting. So these are all coming along. We did put some diatomaceous earth on it because we had some bugs that were getting on there. So we just sprinkled a little bit on there to try to prevent them from taking over our zucchini and squash, because we're excited about that too. So in this bed, I did plant some more onions on each side of the bed, but then down the very front edge, just, I don't know, what was it, 3 or 4 days ago, Jerry? I planted beets here, 1 row of beets, 1 row of radishes. These were Rover red radishes. And then right here, I planted hailstone radishes. And these happen to be leftover seeds from a previous year. We have never put the radishes in the raised beds, so I thought, we have the extra seeds, we have the extra room, let's just try it and see how it goes. So I just planted those the other night. They're starting to pop through, which is awesome. Super excited. And then last but not least, where I'm really excited, and I've wanted to do this since last year, today we added solar lights to the tunnel. So if you didn't see our video last year when we were harvesting our cucumbers, this tunnel is so cool as summer goes on. It will be almost completely covered in the cucumbers and the beans, which will be amazing. And I'm really excited to have the solar lights. So we've got that all set up. And guys, this is basically our garden for this year. It is coming along amazing. We're starting to get a very small harvest. Very, very excited. And as the summer goes on, we will bring you along. We'll do another tour in maybe a couple of weeks and show you where we are. I hope you liked this video. If you did, give us a thumbs up, and we would love for you to come along on our gardening journey. And if you'd like to do that, hit that subscribe button, and YouTube will, if you ring the bell, YouTube will notify you every time we post a video. Guys, thank you so much for watching. We could not do this without you. We appreciate your support, your comments, all the amazing likes that you give us. We appreciate that. So we will see you on the next one. Happy gardening.